Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another live. Let me see if the music is okay. Let me know if it's too loud. Hi Marcy, hi Sophie, hi Maura. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to make these cute treat boxes with little chocolates in there, and they are another small gift you can give to like the mail delivery person or to a teacher or a friend you haven't seen in a while. And I've made some more gifts. You can see those. I made those in other lives I have to say. And you can find those on my channel as well, so you can look those back if you want to. And let me stack up these adorable chocolates so we can get started. Let me put one on the side because it's so cute. So first of all, this is the stamp set that I used. It's from Lawnfawn. It's the fox costumes before and afters. And I figured it would be really cute to use these three foxes. They can hold a little chocolate. And I think that's super sweet. Also, the sentiment is from this set as well. Hope your day is extra sweet. Of course, you could use any sentiment you want, but that's the one I picked. And the little chocolate bar that I used is from Costume Party. It's this little chocolate bar. So that are the only two stamp sets we need. And I think you already can give the links to the sets on the Lawnfawn site, because I gave him the links. So that will be in the chat soon. And I also used a few other sets to create a little box, but we will talk about that later on. So first of all, I stamped out the images with my Lawnfawn jet black ink. And I always use my Misty because I want to have a crisp impression, and I have a really smooth paper. So the first time you stamp isn't always that great, so I have to stamp multiple times. And I'm going to use my Copics to column them in. I'm going to leave the cap with the color number on the left of my paper. But it could be that you can't really read it that well with the lighting, or that's too small. So if that is a problem, please let me know. I can tell you which color it is. I already die cut the images. That's not something I normally do. I always die cut after the coloring. But this is easier in the live and saves some time. You don't need me to align dies and die cut on the live. So I'm going in with this darker orange. And it might seem a little too dark maybe, but when I'm going to blend it out later, it will be perfect. It's my favorite combination to color foxes. I always like to color with my darkest color first. So that's the first color. And now we're going in with the next one. And I'm really blending it out because I don't want it to be super orange. And at first it doesn't really seem to blend really well. But you just have to continue for a bit. And then you will see they turn out super cute. Like that, and I'm going back in with the darker color just for adding a little accent. I'm doing that later. I'm first coloring them all. Let me know if you have any questions, so I can see if I can answer those. Almost done with the base of the foxes. Like that. And now I'm going back in with the darker color, but only a little bit on the tail and a little bit under the head and a little bit on the arms, and that's about it. Just to add a little bit more of a shadow. Like that. And now I'm going to color their bellies, tails, and the face. With these two. So in general, I'm not a huge fan of doing mass production of cards, so sometimes it's fun to make a few cards at the same time. But with these gifts, it is kind of a mass production. It's not that I'm making 100 of them, but just a few at a time. So like for these chocolates, I had 9 chocolates in a package. So I made 9 small gifts out of them. So I needed 9 foxes to color, and I'm not a huge fan of doing multiple colorings of the same image. But with 3 foxes times 3 you have 9 foxes, so that's okay to do. And if you do every step for every fox, it's easier. So if you don't color them image by image, it doesn't take too long. And you can also stamp it in your MISTI. You don't have to take out the stamps and don't have to place them on the paper every time, so you have the same position. You could die cut them by taping the dies together, so you could die cut them at once. So it's not too bad. Let me see the inside of the ears. And I'm also using this color to give them cute blushy cheeks. Like that. And that's done as well. Let me see. I have a few markers on my desk for another project, but I need them for this one too. So sometimes I have to look somewhere else to pick up the right marker. Let me check, because I made a little list of the colors that I'm using. And I think it's also cute to use this set for something else than Halloween. So I didn't use the skeleton one, because that felt really Halloweeny for me. Which could also be a good idea if you want to make little candies for giving away with Halloween. But I wanted some regular small chocolate gifts, so I left out the skeleton. But it's really cute. You can use these foxes anyway. I think I also need to color the chocolate bar with this red combination. I colored every chocolate bar like the color that's in the packaging. So as you can see, for this one it is light blue. And I did those for the others as well. And I think I only needed a red one. The topping of the cupcake. Coloring these is a bit annoying with the sprinkles, because I don't want to color over the sprinkles too much. Let me look at the chat for a minute. So far so good. Yesterday went to IKEA to get some things to organize my office/craft room. Yes, that's always a fun thing if you can organize stuff a little better. Sophie also says it's so exciting to organize craft supplies into new homes to make it easier to craft. Yeah, I really like that too. And even sometimes just tidying it up a little bit also makes a big difference. It also gives you some creative juices to get crafting. And sometimes you rediscover things you already had lying around but forgot about a little bit. These two. I think you can sometimes hear things that are outside because I'm next to a window, but I had to open the window to get some fresh air. It's kind of warm here. And next up is the bee and finishing up the chocolate. So I'm using the same yellow markers as I did for the sprinkles. I recently made a coloring guide with the difference between the different gray markers. You can find those on my Pinterest. I don't know if Jordi knows where to find the board, otherwise he could give you a link. But there are different gray markers in Copic markers. I have 3 out of 4, so I made a comparison with those. I really like the warm gray markers that I'm using now, but the other ones have a nice function as well. So the cool gray markers are really nice for like a seal or maybe something like a robot. It's a whole different gray. And I need a little bit of color for the wings. And for the chocolate bar, I did some of this. It's fun and relaxing to watch these critters come alive. Yeah, it's also really a relaxing thing to do most of the time, coloring. I think you already linked the right Copic guide. You can also follow that Pinterest board if you want more Copic coloring guides, and I'm updating those with new color guides every now and then. So now that I have everything colored, because of my paper, I need, or at least I feel like I need to bring back some of the details. So I'm going in with a black fine liner and I'm tracing the inner lines. It's because the black becomes a little bit of a dull color after the coloring, and that's all because of my paper. My paper is super smooth and it feels like it gets a little bit better if I do this. And actually lawnfawn is one of the brands I'm doing this with because it has a little bit of thicker line. Like for example Mama Elephant has a little bit thinner lines which are hard to trace, but it also feels like it doesn't really need it because they are so thin. And I must say I like the thicker lines of lawnfawn. It's more forgiving with coloring. And you really don't have to do this step if you don't want to, but it's something I started doing and I like it when it's done, so it's something I always do. Except if the images are really hard to trace or when they're really light colored, then I skip. So like the wings, I don't feel like I need to trace those inner lines. I think you can even hear my bird scream from the living room. I'm not sure if you can hear it. Most of the time he's just making cute noises, but sometimes he likes a little bit of screaming. So that's that. And now I'm adding highlights with a white gel pen. I'm using the Uniball Signo. I really like this one. You can also use the Jelly Roll from Sakura. I like those too, but a little bit more for smaller images because it has a finer point. And I also like the Uniball Signo Broad for lighter colored pieces because it acts a little bit like a ink pen, so it's a more of a pigment ink, and it is a little bit whiter on lighter colored areas. Thanks, we'll save that for future reference. Great. I didn't know you had a bird. No, I don't hear him. Ah, that's nice because he was really screaming. It's a parakeet. He's bluish. He's really adorable. He can say his own name, which is really cute too. He learned that per accident. We didn't really were training it. We just said his name when we came home, and then he picked that up, which is something like parrots can pick it up like that, but parakeets don't really do that. You have to train a parakeet to talk. Not every parakeet can talk, and they really need to have a lot of repetitions so they can pick it up. So it's really interesting that he picked it up actually. I have a new gel pen, and then I'm always forgetting that the ink is a little bit wetter than when I'm using it for a while, so I'm always smudging it. So for the highlights, I'm going in the rounder areas. And I often like to do lines and dots. So that's finished. What kind of bird is he? He's a parakeet. So a small, I don't know the exact English name for his species, but it's a small parakeet. Maybe you already can look up a photo, just a random parakeet, not of our bird, but just a Google image, so he can show you. These foxes are looking so cute. Thanks, Marcy. So, these are our little foxes. And I'm going to put them aside for a little bit. Because now we're going to make the little boxes. So, I used the largest die from the mini slimline stackables. Yori can give you a link to that as well. And I'm going to cut a little bit off, and I'm going to use my bone folder to add some score lines to fold it in a certain way. Then I'm having this circle die that's in the shutter card from lawnfawn, and I used that for making the window. And later on I'm using one other die for the sentiment, but I will show that later. So these two make the little tree box. So I have cut this from craft paper, and I have to make a little bit of room because my scoring board is ginormous. I'm doing it in centimeters because that's what I'm used to in the Netherlands. Most of, I think, every country in Europe uses it. and it's something I'm familiar with. But you can of course just look up how many inches it is, and or just see what you need for your candy bar, because I used the Ritter Sport mini candy bars, but I can imagine your candy bar is just a little bit different, and when I do all the score lines and I cut off a piece, I will show you how I figured out where I had to do the scores. So first of all, I'm scoring at 1 centimeter. And then 6.5. And then 7.5. Then 13. And we're going to cut a little bit off. So I'm moving this. So we're cutting this at 14. So as you can see, there's a little bit that I cut off. And now I show you where to put the circle, and then I'm going to show you how I fold it and how I figured out which size I need for my chocolates. So I'm going to pop this in this frame, because when I'm going to fold it, this will be the pretty side that's on the front, and the piece that I cut off is underneath there, so you have a pretty stitched line at the bottom. So I'm running this to my die cutting machine. Which can be a little bit ugly on camera. I'm doing my best not to block all the camera. So that's that. And then I need to fold these. So I'm folding it from the back side and I'm folding everything away from me. Let me use my bone folder as well. So, as you can see, if you fold this close, you have the exact box for this. So what I did is I just took a scrap piece of paper that I could die cut the mini slimline out of, and then I figured out that this has a certain thickness and it fits in the 1 centimeter mark, kind of, because it has a window. So when I fold this close, it has enough room, as you might see, to have a little bit of a room to expand. So I just figured that I needed a little flap to close it. I needed my window piece, so I needed another centimeter. Then I needed the back piece, and then I needed the flap so I can close it up. So that's how you can figure out where you have to make your score lines with another piece of candy. And I just drew out this shape on some paper, and I just put like 1 centimeter, 6.5, so I know when I'm going to make more, I know where to make the score lines. So that's what I'm doing for the other 3 as well. So if you missed how I did it, it's going to be shown 2 times, or actually 3 times, but 2 more times I have to say. So I'm first scoring at 1, and then on 6.5. This is all centimeters. If you want to know it in inches, you can use Google for that, and you can figure it out for your own candy size. So that's that. And for the other one, so at 1, 6.5, 7.5, 13, and then we're going to cut off a little bit. Putting my scoring board away. Taking my trimmer. So I'm cutting this off at 14. Did you design this treat box yourself? Yeah, I did, and it's just like how I told just now where to place the folds. I just took a scrap piece of paper, got the slimline out of it, and figured out if I could make it out of that piece of paper. So cool how it can start as a slimline and with a few folds can turn into a treat box. Yeah, I thought so as well. It was really fun to see that you can make something different from the same die set. So I also created some bookmarks. You can find those on my channel as well. And I also used the smaller pieces of the mini slimline sets for that, because it felt like the perfect size for a bookmark. And it's really fun. You can use those those dies included for something different. You don't always need a specialty die set to create something like a treat box or a bookmark or something like that. So I'm die cutting the windows. I'm doing that one more time. And to be sure I have the right side, I just look at the stitches. One side has stitches, the other one doesn't. So I have to place the die there. Handmade Bianca asks how tall the paper is. You can look that up on the small mini slimline stackables link that you already placed in the chat. It is in the description there how big each size is, and it's the biggest die from the set that I used. So I'm turning the paper over so I can fold the score lines away from me. So I'm repeating that for the other one. So I'm turning the paper over and I'm doing all the folds. And use my bone folder so it has a nice sharp crease. So now I have these 3 boxes to be, and I have my 3 chocolates, I have some score tape, and I have my ATG gun. So what I'm doing now is I'm using a little bit of the ATG gun so I can stick in the little chocolate, and before I press it down I check with my window if it's in the right spot. So just a little bit of the tape here. You can also use some score tape or your tape runner. It's to secure the chocolate in so it doesn't fall out. And now we're going to close these up. With a little bit of score tape. If you find it easier to do this first, you can do that too, of course. So I'm removing the liner tape, closing up the box, make sure everything's in the right spot. And there it is. So measuring out score tape, adding it to the little flap. Removing the liner paper. And closing up the box. The names of those chocolate bars sound so good. Yeah, except for the marzipan. I do like marzipan, but not in chocolate like these. Most of the time it isn't really good quality marzipan, but I know Jordi likes the marzipan, so I guess he gets a little gift later on, because I believe I don't know anyone who would want these marzipan flavor chocolates. So that was the last box to close up. And let me pick an example. We're going to add the images and the sentiment. So I have my images. Well, for the sentiment I used the Hope Your Day is Extra Sweet from the Fox Costumes Before and Afters that I showed earlier. And I used the banner from the Flippin' Awesome set from lawnfawn. And you don't really need it. You can also cut this by hand and cut a little slit or use another die. I recently got myself the banners from lawnfawn for that. Let me see. So these, you can also use this. I know it's a little bit longer, but you can partially die cut it so you can make it the right size. But the Flippin' Awesome banner fits perfectly. So what I did to make it easier to mass produce these is I cut it out a piece of paper. I put this in my MISTI. I cut out all the banners and then I just pop this in, place the stamps, close my MISTI and stamped on with clear embossing ink. Did like 3 or 4 at a time, so I know for sure the embossing ink will still stick, so the embossing paper or the embossing powder will stick to it. And then I just lay them next to me till I have them all, and I could use my heat gun to emboss them all. So that's an easy way to make these little banners. I just noticed that the stamped choco bars match the color of the actual bars. Yeah, that's what I try to do to let it look like the foxes have those same chocolate bars in their hands to give to you. These are so cute. I love making stuff like this. Thanks for sharing. You're very welcome. I really enjoy, I didn't make these kind of things before, I just stick to cards, but I recently really enjoyed starting making these. So I'm just adding 2 drops of glue. And then I'm just holding it for a bit. Love the added details, Peter. Thank you, Marcy. I don't know why my message does Paris at the end, lol. I didn't say that. I didn't even notice. But now it's really funny to see. We're almost finished with these chocolate gifts. I'm just adding all the sentiment banners and the images, but if you have any questions, be sure to ask me now, since the live is almost over. But if you have some questions after the live, you can always ask me in the comments or on Instagram, so don't worry about that. Mara says I use sticky grind sheets from Sizzix for that. I don't know that. What does it do? Yeah, the little details and the color coordinating image are so cute. Thanks, Sophie. We have Ritter bars here in the States, however they are the larger bars, but I don't think I've ever seen one that said cornflakes. That sounds really good. We have the bigger bars as well. I believe Ritter Sport is really something from Germany, but I don't know for sure. And the smaller ones are in I think we have the cornflakes in the bigger one as well. We have lesser flavors than Germany does. But we have quite some flavors here, and this was just a gift set or a small chocolate set. Marcia got the small ones on Amazon and on Walmart. That's good to know. So I'm adding the same color bar as the fox is going on the package. You can just do this random. It's not, I see that I already have a yellow one over here, but you can do this random. It's a great little project. Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Mara says, sorry for the Dutch, but my English is bad. Don't worry, Mara, you can always talk to me in Dutch and I will translate it if needed. So you said it is for stamping multiple text on the same spot. I will check that out later. So now I'm adding the little foxes to the packs. Of course, you could always use other images to decorate these. It doesn't have to be the little foxes, but I thought it was cute to add them with the tiny candy bars, the chocolate bars. And that's that. So I added the little foxes through their packaging, and now I'm all done. So let me pick a few of the other colors as well. So you can see it's really a fun rainbow of colors. So just a tiny little packaging, which you don't need a specialty die set for. You can just make these with something you have. If you don't have the small mini slim lines, you could also cut a piece of paper and do this as well. But I like the stitched detail. So let me know if you have any questions. I will be here for a few minutes. If you have any questions later on, that's also possible. You can ask those on my Instagram and I will answer those as well. You can also just leave a comment if you're watching this later and you have a question. These are beyond adorable, Peter. With your instructions, they really do seem easy to put together. Thank you, Marcy. Let me know if you are going to make them as well. I would love to see. You can always tag me on Instagram or any other place you post them. I would love to see them. They turned out so sweet. Thank you, Sophie. Mara says, lovely. Thank you. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye, Mara. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So cute. Thank you. So I think that's it, guys. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or ask me on Instagram. I will probably be back with another video coming Friday, and I have another idea for a little gift on a live. I think that's going to be the week after that, but keep an eye on my socials for that, and I will post when there's a new video and when there's another live coming up. If you don't follow my Facebook page already, you could do that. I always make these events for the live, so you won't miss out any of the lives. And of course, if you subscribe on YouTube, you will also see when I'm planning a new live. Thank you, Peter and Jordi, and everyone in the chat. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Marcy, for being here, and thank you everyone for being here, and I hope to see you soon. And again, if you make these little tiny gift box and you share them on social media, tag me, I would love to see them. Thank you, and I see you next time. Bye bye.